Okay, Nika, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Sabra. I once again I want to say happy birthday to NM, and happy to see so many people here today. Anyways, you're welcome. I've been invited by Clanex to take a part in event in Kelsey Hotel at the 23 of October, where I should read something related to...
That's wonderful. You're going to do it?
Yes, I will do it, but I am so nervous, you know. I got the topic.
Yeah, but
and
once you do it the first time, it's you don't get so nervous anymore. Always get maybe a little butterflies. Some people.
Yes, you know, but you're a native speaker. For me, it is a big challenge. So anyway, I wanted to read some poems today that I never read before. There was this poems contest in Sparta in 2018, where the topic was ancient Greek history and mythology, and we got thanks, and there was this contest, and I got many historical poems that I can read actually on this event, aside of some of mine. So I will try. First one, I will read one from Sloan series, and I'm not even sure if it is in the topic of history, but however, I will just read it. It is called A Long Walk, and I will not copy this on local chat due to the copyrights, and whoever can hear me, it's alright. The event is being streamed on YouTube. I like to walk in the rain and think of you. The water makes me wet. With you there is so much more. I can hear the drops hit the leaves. The trees suckle each bit of moisture that your lips kiss off my face. I can smell the fresh air what washes in after the storm. The smell of your cologne, your whispering words wash over me. The rainbow opens up and showers my body taken over by you. Your hands holding me. Seconds turn into minutes, turn into hours, turn into days. Years of walking in the rain with you. I like walking in the rain. I like to walk in the rain and think of you. And it was called A Long Walk by Sloan series. Her second name is just like mine. And thank you guys. I hope you could understand. Talk to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Nika, for sharing that with us. Oops. Right. If you're wondering why I've just I was doing something, and of course you'd already seen that poem, so I'm going to take it out because it was the wrong one. And I've got to wait while it finishes. Right. A Cat by Edward Thomas. A Cat by Edward Thomas. She had a name among the children, but no one loved, though someone owned her. Locked her out of doors at bedtime, and had her kittens duly drowned. In spring, nevertheless, this cat ate blackbirds, thrushes, nightingales, and birds of bright voice and bright plume and flight, as well as scraps from neighbours' pails. I loathed and hated her for this. One speck of a thrush's breast was worth 1,000,000 such, and yet she lived long, till God gave her rest. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. Next reader, please.
I could read another one, if you like me, guys.
Okay, the mic is yours.
I will read another poem from a Second Life poet, and it was also submitted to the contest in 2018, and it was Clanex. I just try to find the name of it. It is called Rain. Rain by Clanex Nordmet. Just one moment. The puddles lie on the footpath with the water's reflection zigzagging the common level. I imagine it could be the sound of rain recording into a great ribbon of tape. As it is played back in real time, I can easily overhear how deep puddles are, or the width of a drop, or the length of the wall-winding river. Too soon thought, the sky itself falls in rippling and exploding where plants and axes meet, to make me hear sunny days and bicycles and soft-soled shoes that fell one after the other, to feel the tracks of unforgotten notes of anarchy augmented, that is the music of people. And it was Clanex and his poem Rain. I got permission, by the way, from Clanex to read anything he wrote, and I have it in my inventory, so just to clarify. Back to you, Saber.
I'm glad you've got permission. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, because we would love to hear you. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share. And the more you share, the more you'll get out of the event. This is Lullaby for a Cat by Elizabeth Bishop. Lullaby for a cat. Meow. Go to sleep and dream. Close your great big eyes. Round your bed, events prepare the pleasantest surprise. Darling minnow, drop from frown, just cooperate. Not a kitten shall be drowned in the Marxist state. Joy and love will both be yours. Minnow, don't be glum. Happy days are coming soon. Sleep and let them come. That's Lullaby for a Cat by Elizabeth Bishop. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the cat, for the spoken word. Love for the cat. Yes, we have love for the cat. Next reading, please. There's nobody in the queue, so if anybody has one that they would like.
I can read an Elizabeth Bishop.
Okay, Joel, the mic is yours.
Okay, let me just put it in chat. It's a longish one. Wait a minute. Not as long as the fish. Oh, almost. All right. This one is simply called Poem. About the size of an old-style dollar bill, American or Canadian, mostly the same whites, gray-greens, and steel grays. This little painting, a sketch for a larger one, has never earned any money in its life. Useless and free, it has spent 70 years as a minor family relic, handed along collaterally to owners who looked at it sometimes or didn't bother to. It must be Nova Scotia. Only there does one see gabled wooden houses painted that awful shade of brown. The other houses, the bits that show, are white. Elm trees, low hills, a thin church steeple, that gray-blue wisp, where is it? In the foreground, a water meadow with some tiny cows, 2 brush strokes each, but confidently cows. 2 minuscule white geese in the water, back to back, feeding, and a slanting stick. Up closer, wild iris, white and yellow, freshly squiggled from the tube. The air is fresh and cold, cold early spring, clear as gray glass. A half-inch of blue sky below the steel gray storm clouds. They were the artist's specialty. A speck-like bird is flying to the left. Or is it a fly speck looking like a bird? Heavens, I recognize the place. I know it. It's behind, I can almost remember the farmer's name. His barn backed on that meadow. There it is, titanium white, 1 dab. The hint of steeple, filaments of brush hairs barely there. Must be the Presbyterian church. Would that be Miss Gillespie's house? Those particular geese and cows are naturally before my time. A sketch, done in an hour, in one breath, once taken from a trunk and handed over. Would you like this? I'll probably never have room to hang these things again. Your Uncle George, no, mine, my Uncle George, he'd be your great-uncle, left them all with Mother when he went back to England. You know, he was quite famous, an R.A. I never knew him. We both knew this place, apparently. This literal small backwater, looked at it long enough to memorize it, our years apart. How strange. And it's still loved, or its memory is. It must have changed a lot. Our visions coincided. Visions is too serious a word. Our looks, 2 looks. Art copying from life, and life itself. Life and the memory of it so compressed, they've turned into each other. Which is which? Life and the memory of it cramped, dim on a piece of Bristol board. Dim, but how live, how touching in detail. The little that we get for free. The little of our earthly trust. Not much, about the size of our abidance, along with theirs. The munching cows. the iris crisp and shivering, the water still standing from spring freshets, the yet-to-be dismantled elms, the geese. And that was poem by Elizabeth Bishop.
Thank you, Jolie. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry. You do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you'll get out of the event. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share?
Yes, me again.
Okay, Nika, the mic is yours.
Yeah, I will read another poem of the contest, but yeah, it was from Tequila Mockingbird, and in the contest topic was some mythology, Greek, Roman, etc., etc. And she wrote a poem called Neptune in Scorpio. And it goes like this. Among satiny shining stars, Neptune's iridescent silhouette, glazed iceberg dreaming in the mist, darkening gigantic red star, Antares, the throbbing heart in the chest of Scorpio. Invisible behind the curtain that separates night from the daylight, Orion the hunter flees from its frightening poisoned sting. Gia's creature Scorpio was conceived for an specific mission to bring to an end the massacres of Orion, hunter of legendary fame. But healed of blindness by the very same Helios, beautiful Orion has become Artemis' love. Artemis, invoked by the sorceress in magic rituals, the very same goddess venerated by virgins, acquitted of the husband impose, the one who is awakened through the winds, blown by hunting season's horns, the twin sister of sunbeams, god Apollo, Artemis, has fallen in love with mortal Orion. Hunter turned prey, Orion flees away. Walking in the waters of the sea, terrified retreats, while Apollo cannot stand his sister, the goddess, who equanimously walks among beasts, ready to shoot her lethal, infallible arrow, I think. Ready to shoot her lethal, infallible arrow, suspended on the bowstring, already pretty tensed. Among the pages, hello. Sorry, I got distracted. Ready, back to the first line. Hunter turned prey, Orion flees away, walking on the waters of the terrified retreats, while Apollo cannot stand his sister, the goddess, who equanimously walks among beasts, ready to shoot her lethal, infallible arrow, suspended on the bowstring, already pretty tensed among the pages of my mythology book. It is fallen in love with such a mortal soul. Apollo cannot stand his sister Artemis, savage, eternal maiden of eternal youth, goddess incarnated in a goddess's body, while leading the raptures of Amazon warriors, always ready to shoot her letter infallible arrow, suspended on a bowstring, already pretty tensed among the forgotten pages of a history book, has fallen in love with such a mortal soul. Apollo takes advantage of the opportunity the fleeing hunter provides, challenging his sister to shoot that unrecognizable tiny point distance that has transformed her love into. Infallible, the goddess spits her certain arrow, but when she claims her prey, she cries, she grieves, she fails, and tears her toga in pain, experiencing a warp reserved for mortals till then. Artemis, crowned with crescent moon horns, suffers so much. Her father Zeus cannot deny permission to throw the remains of his beloved in the sky, the stars. Long sailing voyages hewed through stormy seas underneath winter skies. Artemis, armed with unerring divine aim, suffers so much. Her father Zeus cannot deny permission to throw the remains of the monster in the sky, the stars, the readings of the astrologer Guide, dead seafaring transits of planets in a summer sky. Artemis, revered as a Diana in Roman fountains, throws both hunter and monster in opposite skies, so that they never find each other in the night. They must never meet. They are enemies. As Neptune transits along Scorpio's constellation, stars offer him a chariot of lights, Tiphonus' lantern, Exodus' compass, to smoothly rock the god of tides on the foam bubbling on top of swelling waves, animating our mysterious world of dreams. My gosh, it was a really long poem. It was Neptune in Scorpio by Tequila Mockingbird. Thanks.
Thank you, Ineka. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. Next reader, please.
I can read another one, Saber.
Okay, Joe, the mic is yours.
This is another Elizabeth Bishop poem, and since it's about September, I will put it in chat. Copy. And this is both the form of poetry called Sistina, but it also is titled Sistina. Mike Saber? Sistina by Elizabeth Bishop. September rain falls on the house. In the failing light, the old grandmother sits in the kitchen with the child, beside the little marble stove, reading the jokes from the almanac, laughing and talking to hide her tears. She thinks that her equinoctial tears and the rain that beats on the roof of the house were both foretold by the almanac, but only known to a grandmother. The iron kettle sings on the stove. She cuts some bread and says to the child, "It's time for tea now." But the child is watching the tea kettle's small, hard tears dance like mad on the hot black stove, the way the rain must dance on the house. Tidying up The old grandmother hangs the clever almanac on its string. Bird-like, the almanac hovers, half open above the child, hovers above the old grandmother and her teacup full of dark brown tears. She shivers and says she thinks the house feels chilly and puts some more wood in the stove. It was meant to be, says the marble stove. I know what I know, says the almanac. With crayons, the child draws a rigid house and a winding pathway. Then the child puts a man with buttons like tears and shows it proudly to the grandmother. But secretly, while the grandmother busies herself about the stove, the little moons fall down like tears from between the pages of the almanac into the flower bed the child has carefully placed in front of the house. Time to plant the tears, says the almanac. The grandmother sings to the marvelous stove, and the child draws another inscrutable house. Back to you, Sabre.
Thank you, Joel. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. Next reader, please. Okay, this is A Cat Named Max by James Kavanagh. Not too many people have a cat named Max, but then not too many people had a cat like mine, a bold straggler who chanced by my yard one day, inspected it carefully for some time, and like a prospective buyer seemed to nod acceptance. I have never been a great lover of cats, since dogs wandering in the woods were my thing, but I fell instantly in love with Max and his stub of a tail that spoke of some Manx blood. But it wasn't the tail or his regal bearing, as if he were the pride of some regal litter. It was his total indifference to me until he decided otherwise, and in his wild independence that kept him wandering somewhere except twice a day. First he arrived in the morning demanding food after a long, ferocious night of sexual prowling, and if I were recovering from a late night of wild writing or wild carousing, he opened the damn screen door somehow and literally shoved me out of bed. He disappeared without whisker cleaning or a hint of thanks, even though I was supplying my own tuna fish. He came again in the afternoon and battered at the side door. When I read, dozed serenely, or chatted on the phone. This was his time for love, and he leapt for my leg or lap, no matter that I was eating, making peaceful love. Nobody got in the way of Max when it was my turn to love him, and he knew exactly how much love he wanted, which is a hell of a lot more than I can say for his master. He fought cats of any size, stared down dogs, and ignored kids, since he belonged only to me. I never realized how much I loved him until I decided to move, and he refused to come along. In fact, he sensed the move and disappeared the night before I left. I'll never have another cat, not after Max. Few women have loved me well, but I always feel that someday, when I'm lying in bed, he'll jump me for food, or bang on my door for afternoon love, since I'll never believe I could be replaced. I keep looking though he might be a little older now, but only about 19. And what the hell are a few years to the one and only Manx? By James Kavanagh. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, we would love to hear it. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share. And the more you share, the more you get out of the event.
I can ask the birthday boy to read one of his poems with me.
Okay, Joel, the mic is yours.
And Em, how about the cats?
Yes, sure, Jolie, okay.
Okay.
Cat.
Do you want me to read the English first and then you read the French?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to put it in chat if that's all right with you or not.
Yes, of course, yes, no problem.
Okay. All right. Okay. The Cats by N.M. The cats are the animal soul in its most gracious. Their beauty has no equal. Their finesse is wonderful. The cat is the discreet feline who knows how to make his wildness a sweet union which bears this tender gift, which magnifies them. The cat, diamond with strange facets, true hunter led by his instinct, has no need for men, but he lends himself to be among them, an Olympian calm. Taken by a sudden enthusiasm, he runs, he panics, he rushes. First we laugh, we end up losing our mind. It's useless to treat him harshly. The cat is but an independent animal, and he only wants to live comfortably. All the rest is but a waste of time. The cat, a mysterious animal, personal, solitary, disdainful, wild, irritable, very curious, quick, naughty, bright, and capricious. However, we love him, his enigmatic royal of a discretion, a magnificent charm, and the pussycat, his female, the most sensual of splendors, becomes the promising evocation of whispers, of delightful caresses. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Jolie. Les chats. Les chats sont l'âme animale dans ce qu'elle a de plus gracieuse. Leur beauté n'a pas d'égal, finesse est merveilleuse. Le chat est le félin discret qui sait faire de sa sauvagerie une douce union qui naît, ce tendre présent qui les magnifie. Le chat, diamant aux étranges facettes, véritable chasseur muet par son instinct, n'a pas besoin de l'homme, mais il se prête à les côtoyer dans un calme olympien. Pris d'un enthousiasme subit, il court, il s'affole, il cavale. Au premier abord on rit, on finit par perdre les pédales. Inutile de le rudoyer salement, le chat n'est qu'un animal indépendant, et il ne veut vivre que confortablement. Tout le reste n'est qu'une perte de temps. Le chat, un animal mystérieux, personnel, solitaire, dédaigneux, farouche, irritable, très curieux, rapide, hautain, vif et capricieux. Pourtant on l'aime, ce royal énigmatique, d'une discrétion, d'un charme magnifique. Et la chatte, cette femelle, des splendeurs la plus sensuelle, devient l'évocation prometteuse de soupirs, de caresses délicieuses. Thank you, Jolie.
Thank you, N.M.
Thank you, NN and Jolie, for that. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, we would love to hear it. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you'll get out of the event. Does anybody have a poem that they would like to share? Oops. That hasn't gone. Okay, this is A Black Cat by Rainer Maria Rilke, 1875 to 1926. A ghost, though invisible, still is like a place your sight can knock on, echoing, but here within this thick black pelt, your strongest gaze will be absorbed and utterly disappear. Just as a raving madman, when nothing else can ease him, charges into the dark night, howling, pounding on the padded wall, and feels the rage being taken in and pacified. She seems to hide all looks that have ever fallen into her, so that like an audience, she can look them over menacingly and sullen, and curl to sleep with them. But all at once, as if awakened, she turns her face to yours, and with a shock you see yourself tiny inside the golden amber of her eyeballs, suspended like a prehistoric fly. That's Black Cat by Rainer Maria Rilke. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. There's nobody in the queue, so if you want to read, you can.
I can read one more for Socrates.
Okay, Jola, the mic is yours.
Okay. Socrates really likes cat poems. Okay. This is a T.S. Eliot poem. And it's from Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Copyright 1939. The Song of the Jellicles. Jellicle cats, come out tonight. Jellicle cats, come one and all. The Jellicle moon is shining bright. Jellicles, come to the Jellicle ball. Jellicle cats are black and white. Jellicle cats are rather small. Jellicle cats are merry and bright, and pleasant to hear when they caterwaul. Jellicle cats have cheerful faces. Jellicle cats have bright black eyes. They like to practice their airs and graces and wait for the Jellicle moon to rise. Jellicle cats develop slowly. Jellicle cats are not too big. Jellicle cats are roly-poly. They know how to dance a gavotte and a jig. Until the Jellicle moon appears, they make their toilette and take their repose. Jellicle cats wash behind their ears. Jellicle dry between their toes. Jellicle cats are black and white. Jellicle cats are of moderate size. Jellicle cats jump like a jumping jack. Jellicle cats have moonlit eyes. They're quiet enough in the morning hours. They're quiet enough in the afternoon, reserving their terpsichorean powers to dance by the light of the Jellicle moon. Jellicle cats are black and white. Jellicle cats, as I said, are small. If it happens to be a stormy night, they will practice a caper or two in the hall. If it happens the sun is shining bright, you would say they had nothing to do at all. They are resting and saving themselves to be right for the Jellicle moon and the Jellicle ball. Back to you, Saber.
Thank you, Joey, for sharing that with us. Does anybody have a poem that they would like to share? You don't have to be a poet to share poetry. You do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share. And the more you share, the more you'll get out of the event. Okay, same poet, same book. The Cavity, the Mystery Cat by T.S. Eliot. McCavity's a mystery cat. He's called the hidden paw, for he's the master criminal who can defy the law. Is the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair. For when they reach the scene of crime, McCavity's not there. McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His power of levitation would make a vacuum stir. And when you reach the scene of crime, McCavity's not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, McCavity's not there. McCavity's a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. You would know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought. His head is highly domed. His coat is dusty from neglect. His whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. When you think he's half asleep, he's really wide awake. McCavity, there's no one like McCavity, for he's a fiend in feel and shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by-street, you may see him in the square, but when a crime's discovered, then McCavity's not there. He's outwardly respectable, they say he cheats at cards, and his footprints are not found in any file of Scotland Yard. And when the lard is looted, or the jewel case is rifled, or when the milk is missing, or another beast been stifled, or the greenhouse glass is broken and the trellis past repair, aye, there's the wonder of the thing, McCavity's not there. And when the Foreign Office find a treaty's gone astray, or the Admiralty lose some plans and drawings by the way, there may be a scrap of paper in the hall or on the stair, but it's useless to investigate, McCavity's not there. And when the loss has been disclosed, the Secret Service say, it must have been McCavity, but he's a mile away. You'll be sure to find him resting or the licking of his thumbs, or engaged in doing complicated long division sums. McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. He's broken every... I'll read that verse again. McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. There never was a cat of such deceitfulness and suavity. He always has an alibi, or one or two to spare, and whatever time the deed took place, McCavity wasn't there. And they say that all the cats whose wicked deeds are widely known. I might mention Mungo Jerry, I might mention Griddlebone, and nothing more than agents for the cat who all the time just controls their operations, the Napoleon of crime. And that's McCavity, the Mystery Cat by T.S. Eliot. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. Next reader, please.
I have a short Naruto.
Okay, Joel, the mic is yours.
Yes, we have to do Naruto for Oneka. This is sonnet number 39 by Pablo Neruda. Right? But I forgot that your hands fed the roots, watering the tangled roses till your fingerprints bloomed full in a natural peace. Like pets, your hoe and your sprinkling can follow you around, biting and licking the earth. That work is how you let this richness loose, the carnation's fiery freshness. I wish the love and dignity of bees for your hands, mixing and spreading their transparent brood in the earth. They cultivate even my heart, so that I am like a scorched rock that suddenly sings when you are near, because it drinks the water you carry from the forest in your voice. Back to you. Caught you off guard, Saber. Too short? I told you it was a sonnet.
Right, okay. This is Mr. Mistopheles by T.S. Eliot. Mr. Mistopheles. You ought to know Mr. Mistopheles, the original conjuring cat. There can be no doubt about that. Please listen to me and don't scoff. All his inventions are off his own bat. There's no such cat in the metropolis. He holds all the patent monopolies for performing surprising illusions and creating eccentric confusions at prestidigitation and at legerdemain. They'll defy examination and deceive you again. The greatest magicians have something to learn from Mr. Mistopheles' conjuring turn, presto. Away we go, and we all said, "Oh, well, I never. Was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles?" He is quiet and small, he is black. From his ears to the tip of his tail, he can creep through the tiniest crack, he can walk on the narrowest rail, he can pick any card from a pack. He's equally cunning with dice. He's always deceiving you into believing that he's only hunting for mice. He can play any trick with a cork, or a spoon and a bit of fish paste. If you look for a knife or a fork and you think it is merely misplaced, you've seen it one moment and then it is gone, or you'll find it next week lying out on the lawn, and we all said, "Oh, well, I never. Was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles?" His manner is vague and aloof. You would think there was nobody shyer, but his voice has been heard on the roof when he was curled up by the fire. And he's sometimes been heard by the fire when he was about on the roof. At least we all heard somebody who purred, which is incontestable proof of his singular magical powers. And I've known the family to call him in from the garden for hours while he was asleep in the hall. And not long ago, that phenomenal cat produced 7 kittens right out of a hat, and we all said, "Oh, well, I never. Do you ever know a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles?" And Naka, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Saber. Oh, I put accidentally my mic off. There is this poem of Katrin that he submitted to the contest in 2018. It is called Ulysses II. And on the last poetry event, I think week ago, I asked Jolly to read it. I will try to read it myself today. And it goes like this. How far are you now, Odysseus? I would come upon him standing in the street, looking up to the streetlight sky. Starlet he stars at me. My crewmen are imprisoned. Foreigners without permission. My ship is impounded, unsafe, illegal, unlicensed. And I Even my name is taken from me. He collapses into the dirty street, weeping. I heard the rumor. He was easy to find. Graying beard, half eyes, caged by people. No, now accessory in 1,000 selfies. I used to stand on the headland, feeling the distant tempest in my outstretched fingers. Now the headland is walled away, and the tempest dispatched. My dog is on my knees almost, sorry, it was him. And again, the last line. I used to stand on the headland, feeling the distant tempest in my outstretched fingers. Now the headland is walled away, and the tempest dispatched, its voice silenced by city cacophony, and they have stolen my stars. I used to see deeply into the wine dark sea, reading currents, knowing places, but now my eyes rebound from fetid oils. When you seek the wind tells, you peer fixedly into my tiny boxes and argue about what is shown. No one realizes that what you see is not what you just beyond your fingertips. What is just beyond your fingertips. I remember you have not felt the wind's wild power song playing in the backstay as you outrace the storm. You have not tasted the sea-salt, your living tongue licking spray from your lips, starting toward over the heads of your crewmen, seeking a hint, a scent of shelter. Behind is the promised street, in tumbling torn fingers of cloth. This is all familiar race to hope, senses stretched, subsumed, landfall lee of a cape. We dig bare feet into the gritty shore, laughing, brawling waves, driven rain soon passing, tempestuous lives now touched by sun. I can't find that word now. I'm told to stay here, warm and dry in the coffee house. Hold the distant tempest glowing in my hand, calendaring my days out of raw wind, but the air is dead, and the hollow laughter irritates. You tell me where I am when I can't see the sky, and the land smells only a waste. I can't tell where I am. World a true civilized amid hectoring voices, insistent on what is real, yet all is evanescent mimicry, made up in someone's mind, like Tennyson's clean, zadless poem, and blown on an impalpable wind that rises bigger waves than any I faced on the Aegean Sea on my way to Troy. Oh yes, Troy. I have read your histories, seen your photographs, heard the songs. I have even read the poignant stories, Penelope waving a garment, Telemachus matching wits, and you think you know, piling up your facts like bricks. You inside reality outside. I see no future for myself there. Here, sorry. I see no future for myself here. Who was there in the wind of Asia Minor? They want documents and proofs before they will tell me when I may sail and what route I may use so as to be safe amid your commerce. They tell me not to yield, to sail beyond the sunset, but where might I see the sun and feel its light direct on my free face? I became a fighter. Cyclops, Scylla, the harpies, each a defined trait, defined treat. To fight now is to engage the spam, trying to wrestle a loud fog, while a thousand small voices could, and sap confidence with their endless litanies of what isn't possible. Now even the sunset is bound. Satellites endlessly reporting what used to be so wonderful. They tell me I will live much longer now in your world. She looks up at me, huddled in the dimming pavement. Why would I want to? And it was a poem called Ulysses II by Kadin Vesuvino, written on 2018 and October, and submitted to our contest that I'm very proud of. And I really like a lot this poem. Back to you, Sabre.
Okay. Does anybody have one last poem that they would like to share?
I can if you like.
Okay, Jolie, you've got the last poem for the event. The mic is yours.
We'll combine Naruto and cats here for this one. Wrap things up. Okay. This is Cat's Dream by Pablo Neruda. Aneka, is that your mic?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, huh? How neatly a cat sleeps. Sleeps with its paws and its posture. Sleeps with its wicked claws and its unfeeling blood. Sleeps with all the rings a series of burnt circles which have formed the odd geology of its sand-colored tail. I should like to sleep like a cat, with all the fur of time, with the tongue rough as flint, with the dry sex of fire, and after speaking to no one, stretch myself over the world, over roofs and landscapes, with a passionate desire to hunt the rats in my dreams. I have seen how the cat asleep would undulate, how the night flowed through it like dark water, and at times it was going to fall or possibly plunge into the bare, deserted snowdrifts. Sometimes it grew so much in sleep, like a tiger's great-grandfather, and would leap in the darkness over rooftops, clouds, and volcanoes. Sleep, sleep, cat of the night with episcopal ceremony and your stone-carved mustache. Take care of all our dreams. Control the obscurity of our slumbering prowess with your relentless heart and the great ruff of your tail.
Thank you, Jolie. That brings us to the end of the poetry event for this week. We'll see you next week for another hour of poetry. Stay safe, everyone. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you here next week.
And Aneka, I'm so pleased to hear that you're going to be reading at Chelsea. That's very cool.
Yeah, but I am so nervous when I think about it. I have to really, I have 1 month time to practice for the topic that the Clanex choose, the poems, and yeah, I hope I can do it somehow.
You'll do fine.
Yeah, I will be nervous for sure.
Well, yeah, you will, but you'll still do fine.
Yeah, this is a big thing for me, and
It
a big
is.
honor.
I remember the first time I did one. I was nervous as hell.
Yeah, because it is really a big thing, and I think I'm very honored that Clanex asked me that. I would never expect, because first of all, I am not even native English, so, and yeah. Well, I have to practice more.
You'll be fine.
Thanks, Jody. You always make me smile, you know that.
Saber, I'm going to head home. And bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.